The girls' screams and laughter behind his back made his blood boil. They called his name, and a grin soon replaced his angry scowl. He had a plan up his sleeve. It was a revenge plan. He took a step forward, confident that he would teach these girls a lesson. He timed it perfectly and watched it all unfold. Josh and Alice Berwick were both in their 30s. The Westerville, Ohio couple got involved in a revenge plan to set things right, and how it all played out left them satisfied for days. It was a definite win for the Berwicks, and one can't help but be happy for them after a series of events. This is how it all started. Josh and Alice have had a difficult time over the past few months. The work made them so tired that they could only do the bare essentials at home. The late hours meant they only had enough time to cook dinner and eat in front of the TV before going to bed. They usually didn't have enough energy to have meaningful conversations, let alone go out to dinner. But that wasn't all that was making her so stressed. After almost a year of trying, Alice had recently conceived. The couple were overjoyed when they saw the 2 lines from the test they took 3 months ago. Their excitement was boundless when they were first told that they were going to have their first baby. However, the happy couple soon faced a few new complications. Pregnancy comes with a multitude of changes in body and mind. There was no exception for Alice. She soon had trouble falling asleep and often had hot or cold flashes. She told herself she could handle it because bringing a new life into her life would be worth it. But little did she know that she would stumble upon something else that night. Alice and Josh were exhausted after a long day at work, so they lay on the sofa and watched an old movie. They'd been too tired to cook and had just finished the takeaway they had ordered. Alice quickly realized that she wanted a snack. She was hungry for a sweet treat, but all she could think about were donuts. She told her husband she wanted donuts, and he suggested we get in the car and drive to the mall. "I've known 10, but I know of a donut joint that should be open late." Alice smiled widely, excited that they could finally spend time together away from the TV. It had been months of the same routine, and tonight was a pleasant change. But she didn't know what was around the corner. The two ran dizzily to the car and playfully pushed each other like they were teenagers. They were so overwhelmed with joy that they didn't mind the rain as they drove to the mall. It wasn't a long drive to the mall. They were soon looking for an empty spot to park, and their problems began. Alice and Josh wandered among the rows of crowded parking lots and finally found a spot. Josh had just started to pull their car into place when a group of girls packed into a small vehicle surprised him and pulled into the gap. "Sorry," Josh called to them through his open window. He told them he wanted to park there. They were stunned by one of the girls' response. The girl had stuck her head out the window before saying, "We didn't see your name on it." Her friends burst out laughing as they got out of their car and staggered to the mall's entrance. The donut shop was about to close, and the couple were furious as they considered a solution. They exchanged ideas, but Joshua came up with something brilliant. "Quick, get on the wheel, drive to the door, and wait for me there." "I'll be right back," Josh said as he got out of the car. He rushed to the mall, praying the donut shop wouldn't be closed by then. After running short of breath through the mall's hallways for a few minutes, he reached the donut shop. Luckily, it was still open. But there was a problem. There was a long line in front of Josh. He had to wait for at least 4 people to get their orders. And there weren't many donuts left on the counter. What could have happened that so many people want donuts so late this day? But that was not all. He expected another unpleasant surprise. Suddenly, he heard something behind him that made his blood boil. Behind him, he heard a couple of girls screaming and laughing obnoxiously. He turned and saw red. It was the same girls who stole her parking space. Visibly drunk, they lined up directly behind him. At that moment, Josh realized something. This was his perfect chance to get revenge on the rude pack. He grinned wickedly when the waiter at the counter shouted, "Continue." Josh stared at the 24 or so donuts that had been left on the counter and savored his revenge to come. The girls behind him continued their obnoxious chatter. They didn't know what to expect. "Yes, I want them all, please," Josh said, waving his hand across the counter. The barking behind his back immediately stopped. "What? You take them all?" "You can't." One of the girls shrieked. Josh turned and gave them an answer they would never forget. "Oh yeah? I didn't see your name on it," he said with a grin. He listened to the girls complaining and yelping with delight as he watched the cashier fill 2 large boxes with any leftover donuts. There were more than Josh and Alice could eat in a week. However, thanks to a perfect whiff of righteous revenge, they would also taste sweeter than anything they'd ever tasted before. To protect the privacy of those depicted, some names, locations, and identifiers have been changed and are the product of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to actual events or places or persons living or dead is purely coincidental.